This is it. The final Soul Leveling Season 2 extra cut content from Mr. AniNews. He did say that he's gonna, leave the second half of what he wanted to talk in a separate video. So this is it, man. This is the final one. Let's get it.
So here we are on the last episode of cut content for Season 2, and what we have is quite a lot. Even if you set aside the scenes with America.
Bro, when did the last episode of Soul Leveling come out? Has it been almost a month? Are we deadass covering Soul Leveling after it's ended after a month? Let's go.
Which will no doubt be in Season 3. The full aftermath of the Jeju Island raid was pretty extensive. From Sung being treated like Superman to an emotional meeting with Min's mom, the whole arc is brought to a close rather nicely. So, if you want to know Korea's full reaction to what's essentially Sung's debut, then stick around because it's actually pretty interesting.
Let's go!
Since this is the last episode though, I just want to say thanks again for all the support this season, and if you do plan on sticking around, there'll be plenty of content for ReZero, Danmachi, and Overlord next. If that's not your cup of tea though...
Wait, what? Danmachi and? I mean, honestly, the Danmachi content is kind of cooked, man. There is no love for Danmachi on YouTube recently because of how, I guess, all the series is, man. Like, fucking sad. Danmachi had one of the best seasons just now, too. But the ReZero content, I'll be there for it.
Then I guess I'll see you again when Season 3 comes around.
Alright.
But anyway.
But you should cover 2B Hero X, right? Because there's really nothing that's happening this season that is so wide and mainstream appeal, right? There's a lot of, like, great animes, but there's nothing so crazy that's reaching everybody. 2B Hero X is probably the one anime that I can think of right now, but I don't think if there's any cut content or stuff like that.
Anyway, let's start things off the moment Sung finished up his business at Jeju Island. This is where the novel gives us a whole lot more, since he would fly Kaisel back to Korea, then land his dragon right on the doorsteps of the Hunter Association.
Okay.
It was a spectacle that brought many of the Monitoring Division hunters outside ready for a fight. It was...
Yeah, they need a fucking helicopter pad for Kaisel. Him just dropping down. Oh my god, it's a dragon. No, chill, that's my mount.
When they saw it belonged to Sung though, that's when they would greet him as they would any other S-rank hunter.
It's my pet.
So, Sung would request to meet Chairman Go, which for any other person would have been denied instantly. Like, even the most prominent ministers of government had to wait at least a week before they could talk to him.
Damn, we don't need to make appointments, bro. Daddy Gogun, he is down to meet little Jinwoo, bro, because his heart goes doki doki.
This, however, was Sung Jinwoo, and based on what he had just accomplished, it was more than likely the chairman was dying to talk to him.
True.
One of the association hunters...
Yeah, honestly, the chairman needs to make an appointment with Jinwoo, not the other way around.
...would call the chairman just to confirm, then proceed to inform Sung that he was at the hospital monitoring the situation with Cha. So, if we switch over to what was happening there, the doctor we saw alongside Chairman Go before was now checking up on Cha to make sure she was okay.
Live gun he reaction.
As bad as things looked on TV, he was shocked to see she had recovered perfectly. Where before she had a poor complexion due to crazy hemorrhaging, now she seemed just fine. It was a stark contrast to what he was expecting.
She always so fine.
Now, while the chairman did know how it was Cha turned out this way, that was information he decided to withhold.
Okay.
Reason being that Sung's power wasn't something he would willingly spread like that.
Even though everyone already knows on camera. Well, in the anime, they decided to cut that out, but the source material, they showed it. Anyways, it doesn't really matter.
No. Instead, he decided to say it was the work of the 2 A-rank healers he had at the helipad.
Yo, these A-rank hunters, they cracked. They built different. They do the work of S-rank hunters.
That being the case, so far everyone that knew about the true nature of Sung's abilities also knew to keep it a secret.
Okay.
It was then that the doctor would bring up Sung for a different reason, revealing how his mother was a patient at their hospital. This much the chairman knew already, so he immediately thought the doctor was gonna say she finally succumbed to her eternal sleep disease.
Damn!
What he said instead though was the exact opposite. He would explain to the chairman that Sung's mother actually woke up from it.
Yeah?
The chairman's doctor wasn't in the know at first, but when the raid happened and Sung appeared on screen, a lot of the higher-ups who did started bringing it up again. The chairman would then hear about it from him, and that's when he would start piecing together an answer to the question that was plaguing him earlier. You see, it was once he heard this awakening happened only 5 days ago that now the chairman finally understood why Sung refused to participate in the raid.
Cause of mama.
Back when he was watching, he couldn't quite piece it together, but knowing this and the fact his dad went missing in a gate almost a decade ago, it made sense why Sung wouldn't want to leave his mother to participate in the most dangerous raid Korea's faced ever.
That's right.
It was two massive reasons the chairman couldn't help but feel careless for not recognizing sooner.
Nah, fuck that shit, bro. The real reason is the aura farm. We intentionally let people die just to aura farm. Headcanon. No, that's not what happened. But it's funny to think like that.
In fact, it actually made him appreciate what Sung did for them even more now. He had shown once again just how rare of a person he was. It was then that an association employee would inform the chairman about Min's mother, specifically how they couldn't get into contact with her. It was an expected response considering how she'd learned of her son's death through the TV. Not only that, but
That's fucked up, bro. That's so sad. Everyone else is pretty much just like happy and celebrating, and you got Byung-gyu's mom, her poor boy, massacred on TV. Oh man, this is kind of sad.
But she had also called the association herself to confirm whether it was true or not.
Yikes.
So Min's mother was already well aware of her son's tragic fate, and she was now prepping for a funeral that wouldn't even have his body. If you
Wouldn't even have his body.
remember from what I said last video, I know the anime shows the S-ranks extracting with it, but in the novel they couldn't since it was too dangerous. Min's body was still at the island lost in the ant tunnels. It's for this reason the chairman decided to go see her in person, but not before meeting with Sung first. Normally Min's mom would have been the priority, but when a person like Sung says he's trying to get in contact, the chairman knew he better make the arrangements. Now, for Sung, who was waiting for the chairman's arrival, he was being treated far differently from the last time he was here.
Yeah, isn't that nice, huh? Honestly, I was gonna say pretty privileged. You know how if you're better looking, people treat you differently. But here, honestly, before he came up here, he still looked the same. It's just the power rankings, you know? S rank. Now they're gonna all get on their knees and glaze.
Where before the employees didn't really know him, now they were treating him like royalty.
He's a hero.
Even the chairman himself expressed more consideration than usual because at the moment Sung was the person who deserved respect the most.
Yeah, bro is literally like, he basically won a championship for Korea. Like, he is like the most celebrated hero right now. Like, if you think about it in terms of like, let's say soccer, or like, I don't know, some other sports, some baseball league or NBA, he just won the championship. He just brought the fucking trophy, the ring home. Everyone is like on their knees. They should have a parade for this guy. They should have a statue for this guy.
So, first the chairman would inform Sung he knew what happened in the tunnel, followed by a statement saying he knew how he got there too. Only the former point was accurate though, since for the latter, Chairman Go assumed it was explained via Kaisel. After seeing Sung arrive on the back of Kaisel here, the chairman just assumed that's how he got to Jeju there. Sung saw no need to reveal yet another part
Shadow
of his ability,
exchange.
so rather than correct the chairman for being mistaken, he simply nodded his head since that to him would make flying around on Kaisel a whole lot easier.
Silent flex.
Now the people would know the dragon flying in the sky belonged to him.
Actually, it's a wyvern.
As for why Sung wanted to talk to the chairman himself, well, that was to simply inform him that every ant on the island was dead now.
We farmed
He
that.
was essentially giving the chairman the green light to proceed with whatever operations came next. This was news the chairman was only shocked by for a little bit, since when he remembered how Sung had hundreds of summons to fight for him, the thought of clearing the island didn't seem so impossible anymore. He figured them combing the island would result in its extermination a lot faster than anticipated. So, this is how the chairman knew he could send a team in, and that's how he managed to retrieve Min's body for the funeral.
Giga song.
Before, the loss of Min's body was a tragedy that weighed heavily on him, but now that he knew Min's body was salvageable, words couldn't describe how grateful he was. This brings us now to what
This is a terrible example. This Subaru and Wilhelm at the end of White Whale subjugation shit. There is no similarities there. It's just an old man saying thank you with all his heart to a younger dude.
was. This brings us now to what I would have considered an iconic scene.
Honestly, is it that different? Let's think about the White Whale subjugation, bro. That was a plague that, you know, like haunted Laguniga for a long time. Jeju Island, that's a plague that's haunted Korea for a long time. You have a hero show up and lead the coalition and fight, and you have the old man thank. Nah, bro. This the Jejuan raid is the white whale subjugation of ReZero. No.
Now to what I would have considered an iconic scene, since it really hammers home the impact Sung had on the country. You see, it was after the meeting that the chairman would offer Sung a ride home with one of the association cars.
What the fuck is he drinking in his cup, bro? I hope it's black coffee.
To Sung, this was just another typical display of gratitude, but what the chairman intended for it was something far greater.
Protection.
I mean, he was well aware Sung could easily fly home on Kaisel or even run there faster, but in the process that would ignore one of the most important aspects of being a top-ranked hunter.
Paparazzi!
It would ignore the people who've come to adore him.
Yeah.
What people might I be talking about? Well, before Sung had arrived, barely anyone was at the association, but in the time it took for them to finish their conversation, a huge crowd had gathered, leaving no openings at all.
TMZ!
Every single person had come solely for him. It wasn't just reporters or members of the press either, but also regular people too, all wanting to glimpse the person who saved their country. There was one single headline which suggested the shadowy dragon at the association.
Oh, okay, this is AniNews' content. I'm like, hey, Essel made it onto the newspaper. The man who saved the country, Korea's hero.
Was Sung's, and that was all it took for the news of his location to spread like wildfire. It was enough of a rumor to bring droves of people wanting to see whether what the article supposed was true or not. It was when Sung saw just how many people were there for him that all sorts of emotions welled up inside him. It was the first time he'd experienced anything like this. And though Sung didn't fully understand it at the moment, the chairman helped him by explaining how this was what their country was looking for. You see, as the only country on Earth to lose part of their land to monsters, what Korea needed now more than ever was a victory.
A symbol of hope. Some All Might shit.
For 2 years, their people had been enduring endless humiliation from across the globe. Combine that with the fact Jeju Island wasn't raidable without the help of others, and what you get is a population filled with doubt in their own country's capabilities. Now, they weren't necessarily wrong for thinking that, but that perception did a complete 180 when Sung showed up. With the mighty Japanese retreating and their own hunters on the brink of losing, Sung swooped in to dissuade the country's feelings of powerlessness. He alone poured courage back into those who were watching. So, in a way, he was exactly what the country was looking for when they needed it. He was a hero that—
That's actually so cute that the news reporter popped off, bro. Like, I don't know, I feel like news reporters, weather girls, you know, stuff like that aren't allowed to show and express their emotions like that. But hey, right here, why not?
Was exactly what the country was looking for when they needed it. He was a hero that those lucky enough to witness on TV now wanted to see in person. So, though Chairman Go knew Sung could easily get home just by flying, he advised against it since he knew better than anyone the people needed to see their hero. It was advice that would lead to a scene very reminiscent from this one in Batman vs. Superman. Sung would exit the building to a crowd in awe, and not a single person would proceed to say anything.
Is Gogun Hee carrying Jinwoo? Jinwoo carrying Cha Hae-in? Anyways, it's Jinwoo right here, I guess. I haven't seen this movie.
They would simply stare in silence, taking in the hero in front of them. Wu and the other agents
Nobody coming up for autographs? Can I get a selfie with you?
would then clear a path for Sung, all with the exception of one single old man.
Oh.
It was the grandpa you may recognize from this scene here.
The content.
An old man wanting to bear witness to their son's avenger. Here he—
Yeah, this is not Byung-Yu's dad or grandpa. No. It's just another dude whose kid died very, very early on in the Jeju Island raid from the cut content from AniNews stuff.
Was right in front of Sung, tears streaming down his face as he expressed gratitude. He was thanking Sung for finally granting his son a proper rest. Sung would respond by saying it was simply what had to be done, then proceed to the car where the crowd would follow. It was while leaving that everywhere he looked, people's heads would lower out of respect for him. They were greetings he knew were filled with genuine appreciation.
Damn! No monkey in sight running up yelling for an autograph or a picture. They all bowed in silence. My liege!
By the time Sung could see the crowd no longer, that's when he'd realize how fast his heart was beating. He was finally coming to terms with what exactly he accomplished. So, where before he was reluctant to parade himself in public like that, now he was kinda glad he did. To him, every gaze was a proper reward for a job well done. It was once reality came crashing back down that Sung would remember the state he left his mom in.
One of the best scenes in Solo Leveling, baby. Even here in the engagement bar, you see the little bumps of the engagements. Not the most replayed scene here, but you can still see it. It's quite replayed over here.
It was once reality came crashing back down that Sung would remember the state he left his mom in. As it turns out, he had actually just straight up broke their TV here.
No!
It was also his mom wouldn't find out he was a hunter yet.
The TV!
So, checking his phone would reveal 13 missed calls from home, followed by a crazy amount of discourse about him online.
Uh-oh.
With what was essentially his public debut now complete, people were expressing their thoughts on it endlessly.
Dude, the haters. Why didn't he show up earlier? All these people died because Jinwoo showed up late.
They were discussions exactly like the ones you'd expect.
Watching Jinwoo's beast fight with the ants cured my 10-year-old's battle with cancer. Don't lie to me, bro. Yeah? Cured cancer? Yeah, you can be fucking capping.
To find in the weekly episode reviews on Reddit.
He's the GOAT.
One such topic was one you'd see in almost every post, since it was a debate that begged the ultimate question of how strong he was. Some suggested as strong.
Oh, national level hunter, bro. Yo, are you a national level hunter? Nah, he's not that good, bro. Chill. Seriously? Not only did he practically clear the entire S rank dungeon by himself, he also got a lot more skill than the other S ranks. I think that Jinwoo is a national level hunter as of this moment. Not very high up, but I think he has entered that category. Why not? He's an S rank hunter who also, what's the requirements? Obviously, you need to be an S rank hunter, but on top of that, you need to have cleared like an S rank gate or some crazy feat, some sort of crazy achievement. This is a dungeon broken, gate that also has been evolving in power for years. So why not? I think it's fair to call him national level at this point.
Some suggested as strong as the national level, while others called them crazy for even thinking that. Naturally, there was criticism as well, since just—
Yeah, the haters, bro. Why didn't he show up earlier? He was too busy aura farming on top of a building.
Just like in the anime, many blamed him for the death of Min. For a while, no reason was given as to why Sung showed up late, but eventually the association did post an article about it.
Bro should have just went aura. That's it. I'm gone. Mic drop.
They simply mentioned how Sung was kept behind due to inexperience. As a hunter who was only a couple weeks ago the E rank, it made sense to call Sung a reserve member intended only for emergencies. This obviously wasn't the truth, but it was enough to at least convince the public.
Flowers
it was
look
the
great
best
here.
the chairman could do to ease the criticism pointed towards Sung. It also kept his true reasons away from the spotlight. This, however, turned all that criticism towards the association, since it perpetuated the idea that had they gauged Sung's abilities properly to begin with, then perhaps Min would be alive right now. So all the blame was shifted towards them. Yes, it may be at the expense of the association, but at least now Sung was well on his way to becoming the most famous hunter in the country. No longer were people blaming him for slacking off, and now they were instead focusing on his accomplishment.
Alright.
Fast forward now to Min's funeral, and while initially intended to be this small private ceremony, it ended up being public due to the sheer number of people that wanted to pay their respects to him.
That's great.
Countless people showed up to honor his sacrifice. Excitement grew when Sung showed up himself, but that wasn't something Sung thought to be very respectful.
Honestly, it is a miracle that only he died from our side that we know of that are significant. Not random NPCs, but like if you really think about it, a raid of this caliber and our only casualty of significance was this guy. Isn't that crazy? That's fucking insane. Like Japan getting wiped out. Yeah, that's pretty realistic. But for us, like, you know what? That's pretty good.
Normally, he wouldn't care that people were looking or talking about him, but now was neither the time.
Look at this girl, bro. This guy's trying to sneak in. He got his shoulder. You know what? Fair. Dude, how the fuck are you gonna put your fucking arm right by her face and neck and get your mic in front?
That people were looking or talking about him, but now was neither the time nor place for it. So, in order to bring things back to the solemn way it was, Sung would unleash the most minuscule portion of magical energy he could.
Oh.
It was an amount so tiny you couldn't even consider it a portion, but it was still more than enough to bring that mood back.
It's like a moment of
Anyone
silence.
yapping was now silent again.
Bro literally aura farmed at a funeral. All these fucking monkeys yapping. Sir, Sung Jin-woo, what do you think about this? And he's like, silence. Just a tiny conqueror's hockey. Just a little bit. Just to make sure everyone here shuts up. Moment of silence, some respect.
Unleash the most minuscule portion of magical energy he could. It was an amount so tiny you couldn't even consider it a portion, but it was still more than enough to bring that mood back.
Aura farming at a
Anyone
ceremony.
yapping was now silent again. It was then that Min's mother would approach Sung herself, not to scold him like how everyone thought, but rather to thank him in person for what he did for her. You see, as the one who personally invited him to be here, she wanted to express her gratitude in person. Reason being that it was all because of Sung that Min's body could return back home to her.
True.
Had Sung not cleared the island as fast as he did, then there was a chance Min's body may have never been recovered.
True.
So, though Sung's reasons for killing the ants may not have been entirely that, ensuring Min could make it home was at least part of it. He didn't like the idea of his corpse rotting away forgotten in the darkness of the ant tunnels. This was a service Min's mother would be eternally grateful for, since with his help she was able to see her son one last time. Now, it was by the time she was done saying what she wanted to say that now she would be shedding tears all over again. It was an emotional sight that would
Sad.
remind Sung of his own mom. He would envision her face overlapping with Min's mom's, leading to a lump in his throat that would choke him up a bit. The expressions and emotions
So
she was
emotional.
displaying now were far too similar to the ones his own mom had when their dad went missing. But just like how his dad sacrificed his life to save numerous people, so did Min to save his fellow hunters. So while his fate was definitely tragic, it was helpful to know Min's sacrifice wasn't in vain. Now, if you're wondering what the final numbers for the raid were, there were 4,801 hunters called to arms, along with 727 awakened civilians who volunteered alongside them.
Roughly 5,000.
64 of them ended up dying, while 32 civilians were lost in the aftermath.
Yeah, so obviously, right, it's not Min that just died. When I said our casualty of significance was only one, it's just like, who the hell are the civilians, right? They're like random fodder NPCs we'll never know.
So, while this was certainly a pretty high number, it was actually the least amount of casualties out of all the raids. Let's wrap things up with Sung finally back at home, where we find out the discussion with his mom went well. Though news of him being a hunter was certainly shocking, she didn't object to it, as that was what Sung expressed as being the profession he wanted to keep pursuing.
Dub mom?
Yes, she was worried given what happened to their dad, but so long as Sung didn't push himself too hard, then she was okay with it.
I feel like something worse is gonna happen with Jimmu though compared to Dad. I don't know. Again, the whole Shadow Monarch is the actual villain at the end of the day theory. I don't know.
That being the case, in the end his goal would be the same it always was: survival.
Keep leveling.
So, given the biggest obstacle of permission was clear, nothing was stopping Sung from establishing his own guild now.
yeah.
He could finally
the solo
monopolize
guild.
high-rank dungeons and level up without worry. It was then that he'd remember the mystery item unveiled
Oh yeah, that one frame, the Cartinen Temples, Double Dungeon, Episode 1 and 2 of Season 1 content.
at level 100, which if you blinked then you probably missed it in the anime. I won't say any more than that, but I thought it cool that they decided to hint at it here. I'm sure you'll recognize this as a core component for the plot of Season 3. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the season.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed this series of cut content, and I hope to see you soon in some of my next videos.
And that's it. Thank you, Mr. AniNews, for always giving us such great, insightful, and such easily digestible content that we can farm every season. God, this channel has given us so much content, man. Not even just one anime, like ReZero, Solo Leveling, Danmachi, and so much more, right? So definitely check out one of my favorite anime related channels on YouTube. Here's a link to the video. Thank you, Mr. AniNews. And with that, Solo Leveling is retired until Season 3 for AniNews' cut content. But he said he's going to make like ReZero cut content. So definitely we can check those out. See you next time.